Hey, shalom, sis. Hey, sis, how you doing? I see you came around. All praise. What's your name?
Tyra.
Tyra, I'm saying so. Okay, all praise. You know what we're out here doing, sis?
I hope you out here talking about Jesus.
We're talking about the black Christ. You know what I'm saying? You know, because Christ was a black man, right? Did you know that? Okay, all praises. All praise to the Most High. So let me ask you a question. What's your nationality? Come around right here for me, if you don't mind. Appreciate it. If I asked you your nationality, what would you tell me, sis?
Well, I'm considered African.
You're considered African.
Right.
So you know that's not your true nationality.
Right.
So, do you see yourself on this sign right here? It's all good, sis. I'm gonna help you out. On one side, it's what the labels they put on us in our captivity. On the other side, it's what the Most High God calls us.
Okay.
So you say you can so-called African, right? So African American, so-called, right? So that means you're from the tribe of Judah.
Right.
You know, you're from the tribe of Judah. That's the same tribe Christ came out of. You said your hope. We're talking about Christ, right? So let me tell you something about Christ. You know what tribe Christ came from? We just said it. Judah, right? So you know you're from the tribe of Judah. So Hebrews 7:14. Then we're gonna break it down because you know Christ is a black man. Let's go.
Hebrews chapter 7 verse 14. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah.
So it's evident. It's evident. There's evidence that the Most High God's Son, our Lord and Savior, the black Messiah, came out of Judah. Right. In the same place you came out of. So sis, if I asked you what your nationality was, you said so-called African, right? So today you're going to learn you're an Israelite, according to the Most High God. Right. You know how I know that? You know, the Bible says to prove all things. Give me 1 Peter 4:11, then we'll go to Deuteronomy 28. Because I'm going to tell you your nationality, but I'm going to do it thus saith the Lord. Right. I'm not going to say I think this, I feel like that. It's not about how I feel. It's about what the Most High God says. Right. You believe in this Bible? You believe in this Bible. So when I show you who you are according to this Bible, you're going to walk away believing that because it's not what Samson said, it's what the Most High God said. Right. Read that.
1 Peter chapter 4 verse 11. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God.
So I'm a man right now, right, sis? And I'm speaking to you, right? So if I'm going to speak, what I'm going to speak? The oracles and the Most High God. Deuteronomy 1:1. Yeah. So do you know the history of the Israelites? Do you know about Moses?
Yes, I do.
So when Moses, give me a little brief history about when Moses left Egypt with the Israelites. Where did they go? They went to the wilderness, right? So, right. The Most High God brought them out of there. Then they spent time in the wilderness because they were disobedient. They spent a long time in there, right? So the Israelites were with Moses and Israel, right? All right, read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel.
So in Deuteronomy, Moses is speaking to the Israelites. These words are he's speaking to the Israelites. Just like when you write a letter to somebody, you might be on the first page, you might be on the 90th page. But if I write a letter to you, sis, from me to you, then hey, that letter is directed to you, right? Right, all right? So Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
So it shall happen. The it shall happen. What's the it? We're going to get to the it. The it shall happen. Come on.
If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day.
So Israelites, this thing will happen if you don't obey the Most High God's voice and do his law, statutes, and commandments, right? Okay.
That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So all these curses, that's the it. All these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee, right? So it's speaking to who? The Israelites. So if you didn't obey God's commandments, Israelites, these curses, which is a curse of good or bad things, sis? It's a bad, so these bad things will happen to you and only you. Because remember, if we're reading the letter, he's talking to the Israelites. Verse Deuteronomy 1:1 to Deuteronomy 28 and 15, the audience hadn't changed. You know what I'm saying? So read that one more time.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So these curses are going to come upon them and overtake them. Verse 68. Verse 68, because we're going to work our way back to it. So sis, the so-called African Americans, majority of them, how did they get to this piece of land right here? Slavery, right? What means what means transportation? Ships. Is that in the Bible?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Hey, all praises, sis. I like your spirit. I like your spirit. What's your name again, sis? I apologize. Tyra? Okay, Sister Tyra, I like your spirit. So you the so-called African Americans, for the majority, got to this piece of land through bondage and slave ships, right? Let's see if that's in the Bible. Come on out.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again. So let's figure out what Egypt means, because the Bible defines itself. Because you know you must go precept upon precept to get the understanding, right? Come on.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
So we said earlier, the Most High God through Moses brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, right? So he brought us out of Egypt. Let's see what a name, a title, a meaning of Egypt is. Come on.
Out of the house of bondage.
The house of bondage. Bondage is slavery, servitude. That means you're under somebody's rule. So he brought us out of the rule, and he took us into our own land. But like you said, for our disobedience, it took so long. But the Most High God delivered us using his servant Moses, the Israelite. So come on, back. Yes, sir.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So he's going to take us into bondage again after he took us out of bondage, this time with ships, right? Come on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee.
So I'm going to put you on those ships. I'm going to put you back in bondage on those ships, how I'm telling you it's going to happen. Y'all, hey, heed my voice, heed the word, heed this warning, because you're going to slavery on ships. Now he's speaking to the Israelites, right? Audience hadn't changed. Come on.
Thou shalt see it no more again.
The homeland that, hey, Moses took us out of Egypt to get us to our homeland, to get us to the promised land, you're not going to see it no more, because you know how to act when I got you there. Come on.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemy.
And when you get there, off those slave ships, in that bondage, what's going to happen? Say it again, huh?
Ye shall be sold.
You shall be sold. Sister, who was sold on this land, on this piece of land right here? Who was sold on slave auction blocks? Our people, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, were all sold on here. Why? Because we went against the Most High God's voice, against the statutes, laws, and commandments of the Most High God. Come on.
Unto your enemy.
Unto your who?
Enemy.
Unto your enemies. So the people who had you on those plantations, who had you in servitude, who had you in bondage, who still do to this day in a different form and manner, they are your enemies according to the Most High God. So sis, this is happening to a certain group of people, the Israelites. Is there more? Is there more identifying factors? Let's say, maybe that's a coincidence. Okay, cool. So let's go to verse 32. Verse 16, verse 16, I apologize. Verse 16.
Verse 16, cursed shall thou be in the city.
So that's that word again, curse, that bad thing, cursed in the city. Just look around. Is this the good part of Arkansas, a good part of Little Rock, or is this the down part of Little Rock right here?
Supposedly down.
It's supposedly down. Is there a better part on the other side? Oh yeah. So where do our people populate out of one, two sides? Over here. Right. Is that a coincidence? What, you ever been to Palm Bluff? You know, you go right down the street, it's Whitehall. Whitehall's not too many of our people. But you go to Palm Bluff, where in the slums, you see, dang, that's our people everywhere. I can go to Missouri, I can see the same thing. I go to Louisiana, I see the same thing. I can go to Texas, I go to Memphis. Why? Because we broke the Most High God's law, statutes, commandments, sis. And it happened to the Israelites. Once again, the audience hadn't changed. You're going to hear me reiterate that multiple times. Read again,
Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field.
And that's the fields. That goes to back when we were on the plantations, when we got off those slave ships, sis. And that goes to the fields now. You know the Arkansas State Lottery? They changed. They are part of the college system right now. You know, UCA is down 500 so-called African Americans this year than they were last year. Why is that? Is that coincidental? No, it's not. You know why? Because we're cursed in the city and our field of work and our field of study. They changed the curriculum. They changed the requirements for you to get financial funding, for you to get a scholarship, for you to go to their universities that some of our neighborhoods don't provide. So now we're down 500 so-called African Americans than we were a year ago because we're cursed in the city. Because this right here is not built for us. We go, I'm gonna go to their schools. I'm gonna get their education. They don't want you to get their education. They don't want you to be a part of their society. They want you to stay where you are with their foot on your neck. But guess what? How we get out of that? Come back to the Most High God's law, statutes, commandments. Come on.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store.
Give me verse 32.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
So hold on, when we got off those slave ships, you just said it, we were talking about, we got what, on auction blocks. So this history sounded familiar. These curses which shall happen are sounding familiar. So these things that happen, Who else did they happen to, sis, besides the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Can you tell me anybody? Can you tell me, this is the identifying factor. These curses are said, these will happen because we turn our voice and our minds away from the Most High God. So read that again.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fare with longing for them all the day long.
When our sons and daughters, when they came off those slave ships and they got separated, when mama got sent to Virginia, daddy got sent to Louisiana, I got sent to Memphis, Tennessee, that was no power in our hands. We were separated from our families. All we could do is try to give them a hug, get separated, and cry. And move on to another day. And guess what? Go work 20 hours a day in the field, so-called black man. Right. Go work and get no sleep. Go get no reparations. Which we're still waiting on reparations today, right? Our people are. You know, there's no reparations but through the Most High God. You know, we have to come back for Him. You know, but when you get off those slave ships, you were sold, you were given to other people, you were separated. That's part of the curses. The things we went through, it's not coincidental. You know, it's because we went against the Most High God's commandments. So the Israelites will be sold into slavery off slave ships. Their sons and daughters will be taken away from them. They'll be cursed in the city, cursed in the field. So guess what? The fact that you have to work and pay taxes, that's a curse. The fact that the water falls free from the sky, but you have to pay for it, that's a curse. The fact that you can see a so-called black business, Hispanic business around here, but their so-called nation, so-called other people aren't supporting them, aren't providing them with the food, water, silverware, things of that nature, that's a curse. The fact that all we can pass down is debt from generation to generation to each other, that's a curse, sis. Haggai 1:6. That's all we do, sis. That's all we're breaking these laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High God. So guess what? We're going to be in these situations till we turn our minds back to Him. But the fact that we're in financial situations that it's tough for us, that the fact that we can't pass anything on to our children mentally, say, hey, this is how you better your finances. This is how you get out of the situation you're in. This is how you build up a nation for people. It's a curse because we went against the Most High God. Read that.
Haggai chapter 1 verse 6. Ye have sown much and bring in little.
So you work all day, you bust your behind. You work, you make, your check says you made $800, but I'm bringing in $400, so I gotta pay Uncle Sam. He ain't my uncle. I don't know that man. He ain't the net for me and mine, but guess what? I gotta pay him. You know, I'm putting back into the system that's putting me down. You know, these are the things that the Israelites are going through. Deuteronomy 28 and 48.
Bring it out, right?
Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Because I said something, but earlier we said we're going to let the Bible speak, right? Because I'm a man and I'm speaking. I'm going to speak the oracles of the Most High God. So the fact that we have to serve, we have to work to get a paycheck and pay them half of our paycheck after we bust our behind all week. The fact that we have to go to the grocery store and give them our money, we can't. And even if you want to grow your own food, you have to get taxed for it. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 48.
And remember, all these are the things that fit only the children of Israel. Come on.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemy.
There's that word again, enemies. The Most High God said it. He said in verse 68, when he said we be sold to our enemies, now he's talking about we will serve our enemies. Come on.
Which the Lord shall send against thee.
The Lord sent them against us. Why he sent them against us, sis? Do you remember why? Our disobedience. I love your spirit, sis. Come on.
In hunger and in thirst and in nakedness.
So hunger, thirst, and nakedness. If I want to put clothes on my back after all the cotton my people done picked for all these years, I got to pay for a cotton t-shirt. And hunger. After all the corn, after all the strawberries, after all the greens. My family's from North Carolina. Well, they're from Tobacco Road. You know, from all the greens, from all that picked. All potato fields, all that they pick. Now I gotta pay you after I busted my hands for the stuff that I helped put in, that helped put money in your pocket. That's a curse from the Most High God because we were disobedient. Come on.
And in want of all things.
You want your education. We already talked about it earlier. The Arkansas State Lottery is trying to take that away from you because they know you rely on them for your education. You know, you want a death certificate, you want a birth certificate, you want a wedding certificate. Anything that says, hey, the Constitution calls us 3/5 of a man. I have to go to them to tell me I'm a man. But you know what? Hold that, because that drives me. That takes me somewhere. I'm 3/5 of a man, but guess what? I'm the manliest man you'll meet today. You know why? 1 Kings 2 and 2.
Bring it out.
That's why. Excuse me. You got it? Come on.
1 Kings chapter 2 verse 2.
So you tell me if I'm 3/5 of a man according to the Most High God.
I go thy way of all the earth. Be thou strong therefore, and show thyself a man.
So show yourself a man. So how can I show myself a man? I told you I'm the manliest man. These brothers up here are the manliest man you're gonna see today, or ever in your life. Come on.
And keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments and his testimony, as it is written in the law of Moses.
So keeping the commandments, keeping his judgments, keeping his testimonies, that's how you are a man.
Right.
Anybody out here not doing that, they can say they're a man all day, but I don't care if they got the biggest bank account, the tightest ride, the biggest house, the coolest job. They're not keeping the commandments of God, then they're leading you down the wrong path. Don't follow that man, because that's not a real man according to the Most High God.
Right.
Now back to Deuteronomy 28. I apologize for my sidebar, but I had to let you know, 3/5 of a man, all of us are full-grown men up here today because we keep the commandments of the Most High God. Where were we at? 48? Come on.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
So that enemy that would you be sold to, that enemy you have to serve, that enemy you rely for everything you need, he shall put a what?
Yoke of iron upon thy neck.
You know what a yoke of iron is, sis? Where's the sign at? You see that right there? It says a yoke of iron upon thy neck. That sounds like slavery, right? We can't get away from it. These curses are saying you will be in servitude. You will be a slave. You will be under these people. They will put a yoke of iron upon your neck. Because they will be the ones who feed you, the ones who clothe you, the ones who provide you for everything you need. And guess what? That's because you turn against the Most High God. Come on.
Until he have destroyed thee.
So that's a good part. You can put it down, soldier. Appreciate it. You can put it down, soldier. I appreciate it. Until he had destroyed thee. You and I are having a conversation today. Physically, we're not destroyed, right? Physically, we're here talking. I can walk. I have to go work. I'm under these curses. I know it. I feel it. You know what I'm saying? So how are we destroyed? We're destroyed up here. We're destroyed in our minds. We're destroyed because we lost our heritage. We lost who we are. We lost our culture. You know you're not a so-called African, but if somebody asks you your nationality before today, you would tell them a so-called African. Because guess what? We were destroyed to say, hey, I'm a child of God. I'm a child of the 12 tribes of Israel. I come from the tribe of Judah. The same thing as a black Messiah. You know, that's the answer you give. You know what I'm saying? That's all for 48. So since you got any thoughts, questions, concerns? No, so what's your nationality, sis? That's right. You're an Israelite from the tribe of Judah.
We used to scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.